I know. Draps again. Today is supposed to be the stretchy day. We're gonna try to make it a stretchy day, but not with some standing poses. We're gonna get some standing stuff in and then make our way down to the floors. But let's start off thanking you all for showing up this morning and invite you to close your eyes and
We'll say who shows
have
up
that.
on Spice of London when it's 22 degrees.
But yeah, that's still writing. That is still writing. Oh, but yes, let's take a second to come to the breath, settling things down, getting to elongate the spine, closing the eyes or having that soft gaze, getting to deepen the breath, inhaling a little fuller, a little deeper, sending those exhales out just a little slower. And just taking notice of how we're feeling today, what we brought with us. Maybe taking notice of the breath. Rise and fall of the chest, the air entering, exiting the nose. We're finding that comfortable rhythm. Those slow, steady, deep breaths. Option to leave eyes closed here, and on your next exhale, we're just gazing to the right. And then as we inhale, bringing the head right back around center. And exhale, gazing left. Inhaling, bringing it right back around center. Exhale, gaze right. Inhale back to center. Taking a couple more of these at your pace. Feeling completely free to explore those pauses as well. We hold that gaze over one of those shoulders if that feels good. Take a couple breaths there. We're going to go one more time each side. We started looking right one more time, looking left. And then when the head returns to center on an exhale, we're dropping the chin to the chest. And then from here, we're rolling right ear to right shoulder. And as we exhale, rolling the chin back down to the chest, inhaling left ear, left shoulder. And as we exhale, chin falls to the chest. Taking 2 or 3 more of these. And again, these can be as slow as we need. We can stop and explore those pauses, and we will stop on each side. But no rush here. And next time, right ear is finds its way to the right shoulder. We're going to pause there all together, and then picking the right hand up and resting that on the top of the head and just letting the weight of that hand give that little extra stretch in the neck. And then we're not going to pull on the neck. We lock this hand in place, use the neck muscles, and press the head into the hand for just a couple little pulses. And on your next exhale, we're dropping chin to chest, lowering the right hand down, inhaling left ear, left shoulder, pausing here, raising that left hand up, placing that on the side of the head and letting the weight of that hand. Add that little stretch in the neck. And if this is good enough intensity, stay right here. There's not required to pulse. We feel like we stretch that neck a little bit more, leaving that hand locked in place. Pull the head into the hand for 1, 2, maybe 3 little pulses. And then on an exhale, chin to chest, dropping left hand down. Another big breath in here. And out. One more big breath in. And out. Next inhale, slowly raising the gaze and then raising both arms up overhead. Pausing here, arms extended, tall fingers reaching, and then finding a slight back bend in the seated volcano. Just squeezing the shoulder blades together, raising the gaze very slightly. And then returning to that tall neutral spine. And then as we exhale, we're dropping right hand down and then leaning left arm over. Right hand can find the hip, the chair, the mat. Maybe we add little shoulder circles here. And your next inhale, that right arm comes back up overhead. And then as we exhale, we're dropping that left hand down, hip, chair, mat, and reaching that right arm over. And maybe adding some shoulder circles here. And then your next inhale, both arms coming back up overhead. And then as we exhale, we're lowering down, hands to heart center. And we're going to keep our hands in our lap. We're going to come to the fingers. We're going to start on that one thumb knuckle and just give that little squeeze and a little wiggle. And then moving on each knuckle, each finger. Just give them all a little squeeze, couple little twists. We've gotten them all. No rush, making sure we get every single one. So when we're finished, lowering our hands down. And then from here, extending both arms out, shoulder height, shoulder width, and opening and closing fingers. And then some wrist rolls. And reverse. And then holding that right palm out, facing that palm forward, and then we're pulling those fingers back. Couple little pulses here, 3 or 4. And then flip that palm up, bend the fingers down, and a couple more pulses right here. And then flipping palm facing down, bend the fingers down, and then from this first row of knuckles, couple little pulses here. And this is a good example of finding the edge. When we talk about find the edge in our standing poses, walking that back foot back, and then switching hands here, left hand, palm facing out. And as we pull these fingers back, when you feel on that wrist, like, nope, this is as far as we go. That is the edge. Find the edge here with the wrists and the fingers. Very similar to finding the edge with our stances. And then flipping that hand down, pulling down on the finger, or fingers facing down and pulling them back. Couple little pulses here. And then flip the palm forward. Palm facing down, fingers facing down, and press into those knuckles. And then eventually lowering both arms down, couple shoulder shrugs here, rolling them back and rolling them forward. And then eventually finding stillness. And then from here, we're going to inhale just the right arm up. And then we're going to add a slight lean. And then here we're looking for a big reach. Fingers raising up towards that ceiling. Letting some heat generate in that right arm and stretch it out. This is active. We can go past 70, 60, 70% here. And we're just reaching, extending that arm up. We're taking one more big breath in, and then on a 5-second exhale, we're exhaling for 4, 3, spinning palm down, 2, and 1. Pausing at shoulder height. Another big breath in, and then slowly lowering for 4, 3, 2, and 1. And then inhaling that left arm up. Slightly to the right and extend that arm. Fingers reach into the sky. And then we're just holding. We're just finding that extension, finding that length, stretching it out. And we reach it up a little higher, find a little more extension on this last breath in, and then slowly exhaling, palm spinning down, arm lowering to shoulder height for 3, 2, and 1. Another big breath in here. And then slowly lowering for 4, 3, 2, and 1. Another big breath in, both arms coming up overhead. Exhaling, hands to heart center. And again, another big breath in. This time pausing with the arms at the top, and again finding that slight back bend, squeezing shoulder blades together, raising the gaze slightly, extending arms up, strength all the way through the fingers, just like our high lunge. And then your next inhale, we're returning. All neutral spine. Exhaling, hands coming down through heart center. And then we're making our way to standing. And props at the top of the mat, either chair with the seat facing us or blocks. And we're finding our mountain pose, feet hip distance apart. Closing the eyes and having that soft gaze downward. Check in with the soles of the feet gripping down into the mat. Feeling the ankles active, a slight bend in the knees. Pelvis tucked in, spine is tall, shoulders relaxing down. Chin parallel, fingers just resting. Hands and arms just dangling out by the side. And one more big breath in. And out. And your next inhale, we're inhaling both arms up overhead. And then as we exhale, hinging at the hips, forward fold. Inhaling up to that half lift, flat back. And then as we exhale, just folding and letting it go. Taking notice of where the fingertips have arrived. And taking notice of any other sensations in the body. Is there any tension you can release? Rocking on the heels and toes, or maybe grabbing opposite elbows and swaying back and forth. Maybe loosen up the neck, shaking the head. How are the shoulders feeling this morning? Do we want to wrap the forearms behind the calves and squeeze the elbows together? What would feel good for you? What we give this time under tension to the low back? Any movements here? Taking one more big breath in and out. And then next inhale, slowly uncurling, just ragdolling up. Letting the head, neck, and shoulders be the last thing to arrive back in mountain pose as we exhale and roll the shoulders back and down. And then we are slowly rising on an inhale and curling the spine. Make our way back to that mountain pose. Then when we're here, taking a second to wiggle out the feet. Find that slight bend in the knees. And on your next inhale, we're inhaling both arms up overhead. Exhaling, hinging at the hips, forward fold. Inhale, half lift, flat back. Exhale, fold, place hands, right foot steps back, followed by the left, pressing hips up and back. Downward dog, pressing away through the palms. Now we can always pedal out the feet in down dog. We're going to come to the hamstrings very shortly. So we want to give extra attention on the upper back, on the shoulders. We're pressing away through the palms. We're dipping that head down. We're raising our hips up. And obviously, always that option to pedal out the feet as well. Taking one more big breath in here and out. And then your next inhale, soften the knees, gazing at the hands and slowly walking feet up to meet the hands. And exhaling into that forward fold. Inhaling, half lift, flat back. Exhale, fold. And next inhale, reverse swan dive, arms going out and up, maybe finding that slight back bend at the top. And exhaling, hands to heart center. One breath in and return to mountain. And pedaling the feet out. Taking a couple cleansing breaths here. Eyes closed or that soft gaze on your next inhale. Inhaling, both arms up overhead. Exhale, hinging at the hips, forward fold. Inhaling, half lift, flat back. Exhale, fold, placing hands, left foot steps back, followed by the right. Pressing hips up and back into that downward dog, pedaling out the feet, pressing away through the palms, raise the hips up. And then we dip that head down, find that shoulder stretch, and then on your next inhale, right leg rises. As we exhale, knee to nose, and we're stepping that through. Now with the chair, we're going to angle that foot out. We're using the mats or the blocks. You can keep those feet on train tracks, and then on our next inhale, we're dipping in to that right knee, and we're pausing right here. Not dipping in too far. One more breath in here. And then on that exhale, we're pressing away through the palms, straightening that right leg. And then finding that little hamstring stretch. Chin is tucked, spine is rounded. Maybe raising the toes. On that right leg, maybe playing into the slight bending, straightening of that knee. And on your next inhale, we're rolling forward. We're dipping back into that right knee, squeezing shoulder blades together, raising the gaze. And pausing right here. Your next exhale, press away. Round the spine, tuck the chin, straighten the right leg, maybe left heel drops. And then next inhale, we're bending back into that right knee. Now this time we're all gonna bring that right foot to the outside of the right hand. And then maybe find that pinky toe edge of that right foot. This time we want that knee to fall out to the side and then sink in a little bit. Now this is our lizard. And if we're looking for more intensity here, we do have an option to put the blanket down for that left knee. And if we want to lower our hands down to the mat, maybe that knee can fall out to the side a little more, not a have to. And we try not to put pressure on the knees, but there is that option. Your next inhale, if that left knee did drop, we're tucking the toes and raising that left knee back off of the mat. We're straightening our arms, straightening both legs, and then a big wide pyramid pose here, very wide stance. And on our next inhale, we're bending into the right knee. And then as we exhale, right foot steps back to meet the left, pressing hips up and back. Finding that downward dog, a big breath in. Exhaling, let it go. Next inhale, left leg rises. Exhaling, knee to nose, stepping that through. Now foot can stay right there if we're using blocks of the mat. We're using the chair, we're gonna angle that foot out. And then next inhale, we're dipping in to that left knee, squeezing shoulder blades together and pausing right here. And then next exhale, pressing away. Straining that left leg, tucking chin to chest, rounding the spine, maybe coming up on, raising those left toes. And we are just warming the hamstring up. We don't have to worry about too much intensity here. And on your next inhale, we're bending back in, dipping into that left knee, squeezing shoulder blades together, raising the gaze. One more big breath in. And then as we exhale, press away. Straighten the left leg, raise the toes, tuck the chin. Your next inhale, dip in. And why we're here, anytime we're holding stretches. Always that opportunity, bring the attention to the breath. Allow the body to soften. And then next exhale, We're straightening that left leg, pressing away. We're finding that cat back stretch. And we're here one more time, bending, straightening that left knee. And then next inhale. Returning to that high lunge base, lowering that left foot down, and then we're all bringing left foot outside the left hand, and we're finding that pinky toe edge, and then letting that left knee sink out to the side. Option, if it's accessible, to tap that right knee down. Move it lower down a little more. Elbows on chairs or elbows on blocks. If we drop that right knee, we're going to tuck the toes on the right foot, and on our next inhale, begin pressing that knee off, straightening our arms. And we let the sole of that left foot find the mat. On an exhale, left foot is stepping back to meet the right. We're pressing hips up and back. Finding that downward dog again, pressing away through the palms, dipping the head down, raising the hips up. Pedal out the feet. And your next inhale, we're gazing at the hands, soft bend the knees, and slowly walking feet up to meet the hands. And exhaling, forward fold. Inhale, half lift, flat back. Exhale, fold, spill it forward, let it go, arms dangling. Maybe fingers have sunk a little lower. Another opportunity to find any intuitive movements or rest in the stillness. And on your next inhale, we're beginning to slowly uncurl the spine, rising up one vertebrae at a time. Eventually returning to that mountain pose. Relax the shoulders back and down. From here, hands are coming to the hips, and we're sliding that left foot back, maybe just a foot, 18 inches. And we're bringing both hands up overhead. And then slowly lower, finding that pyramid pose. And now we're getting to the meat and potatoes of that hamstring stretch. Just let the arms dangle. And here we're playing into that right knee, bending and straightening. Maybe pressing right hip back, left hip forward. From here, we're interlacing fingers, pointers extended. And we're going to slowly rise on an inhale. On your next inhale, we begin slowly uncurling for 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Stepping left foot forward, stepping right foot back. And then as we exhale, hinging at the hips, rounding the spine, just doming over, lowering down, pyramid pose, other side, left knee. Bend and straighten. Maybe finding slight adjustments, little wiggles in the hips. Finding that perfect spot for you, that balance of ease and effort. And on those exhales, just let that torso sink in. Allow the body to soften. Interlacing fingers. Pointers extended, and then taking that big, slow inhale, slowly rising, uncurling the spine, arms coming up overhead. And we're stepping right foot forward. And as we exhale, hands coming down through heart center. And returning to mountain. And then from here, we have option to bring our props to the right side of our mat. We're using a chair. We still want at least 2 legs on the chair. And our blocks are over there on the right side of the mat. And we're turning to face our props. We're coming out to our wide leg stance. Heels in, toes out. And then while we're here, hands are on our hips. Shoulder blades squeeze together. And as we exhale, back flat as far as we can. And then eventually rounding the spine, dropping the arms, letting it all go. And in the wide leg forward fold, we can sway back and forth, letting the hands just move from one foot to the other. We can find lots of different stretches here. Maybe bring an opposite hand towards opposite ankle on some of those lower side back muscles. Maybe one a little more for the knees and hips. Maybe we bring heels in, toes out. Play into bending one knee, straightening opposite leg. Whatever options we have taken. We're gonna meet back in the middle. Let the arms dangle, let the head drop. And on your next inhale, we're inhaling up to half lift, flat back, hands finding our props, chairs, or blocks. And then from here, we're making our way down onto the mats, sliding our chairs out to the side. And sure we have some of our things with us. Maybe blanket by the side. And we are going to make our way down onto our tummies. And our legs around back. Maybe blanket on the right side. We're going to be finding our half frog. First on the floor. As we make our way down onto our tummies, we can bring one hand on top of the other, maybe rest the forehead or the chin down. And then rolling slightly onto the left hip and bringing that right knee out to the side. It can rest on the blanket for a little extra comfort. Not a requirement, but and then here, if we're looking to add more intensity in the half frog, we're just using our big toe, kind of walking that knee up a little higher. Next exhale, we're beginning to walk that right leg back down to meet the left. And if we found comfort with the knee on the blanket, moving the blanket to the left side of the mat. And placing our hands again, rolling slightly onto the right hip, extending that left knee out to the side. And resting the head down. Always that opportunity to come back to the breath, observe the breath, or notice how the hips are feeling, how you're detecting any tension. Send the breath there. Your next exhale, beginning to slowly walk that left leg back to meet the right. And then when it arrives, we're bending our knees, soles of the feet up towards the ceiling, and some little opposite windshield wipers, letting the ankles fall left and right. And eventually evening out both sides and lowering the feet back down to the mat. Toes are untucked, tops of the feet on the mat, and then we're beginning to bring our elbows underneath the shoulders. Arms at the number 11, making our way into the Sphinx pose. We're pressing down on the tops of the feet, letting the kneecaps hover, and then raising the gaze. Eyes are closed or soft gaze downward. And fingers are spread wide. But we're rooted down into the elbows, into the hip pointers, and the tops of the feet. So our three biggest connections with the mat. Hands are kind of just resting. From here, if we're looking for a little more intensity, we're going to pivot on the elbows. Hands coming out about 45 degrees, and this time we are using the palms, pressing into the palms, straightening the arms. Still pressing down on the tops of the feet. Our palms, our hip pointers, and tops of the feet pressing in. And one more big breath in here, and then as we exhale, sinking elbows down. Palms come together, resting the forehead down, ankles out by the side. And from here, we're going to roll on to our favorite side. Resting biceps on the ears, and then we're here to press ourselves up to seated, swinging our legs back around front. As we begin to prepare for the forward folds, we can prop the hips up with a blanket or bolster, and we have options for blocks as well, depending on how the hamstrings we're feeling today. Maybe we want blocks under the knee. If we're not done with the hamstring, we can get into them a little bit more. This is your workout. Feet a comfortable distance apart, and then on our next inhale, we're bringing both arms up overhead. And as we exhale, we're starting with that hinge, with that reach back flat as far as we can, and then eventually rounding the spine, tucking the chin, hands fall where they may. And starting out here, no stress, no strain, no effort. Today, we're just creating space. How is your breath feeling right now? Inhale slow and deep. Receiving that invitation to soften on the exhale. And the hands begin to creep forward a little bit more. The head fall a little lower. And we use the breath instead of trying to force it. Your next inhale, slowly uncurling, rising up one vertebra at a time, returning to that tall neutral spine, removing our props. And then strap by our side. I'm still undecided on that strap. I'm trying to honor Nancy's wishes today. We're going to try to avoid that thing. We threw in that lizard. We're going to throw in a double pigeon here. We're going to come down onto our backs, and we are not going to use the straps today. We're slowly lowering one vertebra at a time. Starting out, arms out at the knee, and then extending the left leg long, and then we're pulling the right knee into the chest. Giving the head a couple little squeezes, maybe into the middle, maybe out to the side, maybe some little hip circles here. Without the straps, we still gotta find those hips. We're gonna bend the left knee and bring the sole of that foot to the mat. We're extending the right leg up and then crossing right ankle over left. And now we're in our seated pigeon. And this is one of the areas we try to get with the straps. And we can stay right here. We can apply general pressure, pressing the right palm into the right knee. We can pull the left knee into the chest, interlacing fingers behind it, and then use that right elbow to press that right knee away. And we are squeezing here. We are pulling this in. And this gets the same area as the strap. It's just a little more active. Want to keep that chin tucked. If our shoulders are raised, which is perfectly okay, gaze goes towards the navel. And taking one more big breath in here. And then as we exhale, we're slowly lowering. One vertebra at a time, reconnecting with the mat. Arms come out to a T. Sole of the left foot finds the mat. Taking another big breath in here. And then as we exhale, we're twisting left. Gazing right, keeping that figure four, that pigeon with the legs. And here we want the sole of the right foot resting comfortably. Maybe it rests on a block, maybe it finds the floor. And then we have that option to gaze over the right shoulder. And here we can just allow that right knee to be wherever it needs to be. Your next inhale, we're going to slowly come out of this twist, allowing the sole of the left foot to find the mat again, extending the right leg tall, and then slowly lowering it all the way down to the mat and switching sides, pulling the left knee into the chest. Interlacing fingers just below it, giving that a nice tight squeeze into the middle, out to the side, maybe hip circles, just loosen it up. Explore that range of motion. And then while we're giving that left knee one more tight squeeze, we're bending the right knee, bringing the sole of the right foot to the mat, and then extending the left leg up. Crossing left ankle just above right knee, and then choosing our options for our reclined pigeon. Staying right here, applying that gentle pressure to the left knee, or pulling the right leg into the chest, interlacing fingers behind the thigh, and using left elbow to press away. More breath in here, squeezing everything together, and then as we exhale slowly with control, lowering everything back down to the mat, arms coming out to a T. And as we arrive, settling in for an inhale, and then as we exhale, we're twisting right, gazing left, making sure that left foot is resting comfortably. Sole of the foot finds the mat or a block. Next inhale, we begin to slowly uncurl. Letting the sole of the right foot find the mat again, extending the left leg tall, and then slowly lowering it down to meet the right. And from here, maybe taking some windshield wipers, maybe a double knee hug or happy baby. Just releasing the hips. Maybe both. Maybe some windshield wipers and then a double knee hug. That might feel even better. Do them both. Release the hips, roll out the spine. And a little self massage on the vertebrae before finding our version of Shavasana. Or end of class, also excellent time to explore any inversions. When all the props are available to find that comfortable position for you. Where can your body be at rest? Whether we're doing a blanket as a pillow or a neck roll, or maybe we place a bolster under the knees or under the ankles. We want everything supported. One final opportunity this class to let it all go, the tension in the body, bringing the attention back to the breath. Beginning to deepen the breath. Maybe filling belly, ribs, and chest. And that exhale out the fingers and toes. Begin to bring more and more movement back to the body. Taking any final stretches that might feel good. The double knee hug or full body stretch. ready, eventually making our way back to that comfortable seated position. Closing with one final inhale, inhaling both arms up overhead. Gathering new energy for the day, exhaling hands to heart center, send that in, carry that with us. Thank you all so much for joining me. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Please drink plenty of water today. Hopefully we have flushed out some toxins from the hips. And yes, have a wonderful, wonderful day.
Thank you.
You're welcome. You're welcome.